Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are one of the greatest duos of all time, playing together on the Miami Heat along with All-Star Chris Bosh from 2010 to 2014, and a brief period on the Cavaliers from 2017 to 2018. The two accomplished many feats together, winning 2 championships, having countless alley-oops, and leading the Heat to winning 27 games in a row, the third longest winning streak in NBA history. Now, even with all of those accomplishments, when they were on separate teams, the two had amazing duels that would go down to the wire. But one thing we never got to see was a playoff matchup between LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. And looking back on the regular season matchups, a matchup between the two would be one to remember. So today, we're looking at the closest times these two were about to match up in the playoffs. Here's how Dwayne Wade and LeBron James were the playoff matchup that would have been amazing, but we never got to see. Now, in each of these scenarios, the matchup is only one game away from happening. So let's start in the 2009 NBA playoffs. The number 5 seed Miami Heat are faced up against the number 4 seed Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks are led by Joe Johnson and John Smith. The Heat are led by mainly Dwayne Wade and a bunch of role players. The Hawks take game 1 by a big margin, followed by Miami taking both games 2 and 3 by big margins. The Hawks continue to take games 4 and 5 both by double digits. The Heat keep their season alive by winning game 6 at home, and the Hawks ultimately win game 7 on their home floor. So the Heat fall 1 game short of meeting LeBron and the Cavs in the second round, where the Cavs took care of the Pistons in the first round, sweeping them, as well as sweeping the Hawks in round 2, before having their season come up short of the finals, losing to Dwight Howard and the Magic. The next scenario is in 2016. Both the Cavs and the Heat get pretty far in the playoffs in this one. The number 1 seed Cavs breeze through the playoffs like in 2009. Surprisingly, the same teams they swept back then are the same ones they swept in this year, sweeping Detroit in round 1 and the Hawks in round 2. The Heat, on the other hand, had some pretty tough matchups. In round 1, the number 3 seed Heat faced the number 6 seed Hornets. There might be some separation in the standings, but the 3 through 6 seeds that year all had the exact same record of 48 and 34. The Heat took the first 2 games at home in commanding fashion, but the Hornets took the next 2 at home, tying the series up at 2 games apiece. Then, a pivotal Game 5 saw the Hornets stealing home court advantage, winning in a close battle, and the Heat would go to Charlotte down 2-3 in the series. The Heat would need to win Game 6 in Charlotte and win Game 7 at home. Now, most of you remember Game 6, mainly because Wade did this.
Walker to switch on him. Wade leans in, falling away, puts it in! Dwayne Wade does it again! And Charlotte has to call timeout. What a clutch performance from Dwayne Wade. On his back, even with all the miles he has, still finding it within himself to knock down big shots. Purple shirt man, have a seat. Mama, there goes that man.
And that's great defense, but better offense. I mean, that's just amazing.
Walker fakes the 3, drives, gets to the rim, blocked from behind. Dwayne Wade with the block as well. Wade throws it back, and Richardson's shaken up. Wade throws it ahead. 10 block shots from Miami, and Wade. But I tell you what, purple shirt man got to sit down, and somebody's got to control him. I think Dwayne Wade is.
The Heat would win Game 6 and win Game 7 in a blowout to win the series. The second round had the Heat matched up against the number 2 seed Raptors. The Heat and Raptors fought in a scrappy battle in Game 1, which went to overtime thanks to this moment.
Lonnie McCutcheon hands to Joseph. They need a 3 to tie. Lowry, half-court heave, a prayer at the buzzer. Oh! Kyle Lowry! He hits! Overtime in Toronto! Lowry lets it fly! And we've got bonus!
The Heat still managed to win in Game 1 in Toronto. Game 2 also went into overtime, where huge performances by Lowry and DeRozan put the Raptors over the Heat in Game 2. The series went to Miami, where a 38-point performance by D Wade wasn't enough to stop the Raptors in a hard-fought battle. But in Game 4, another overtime game, D Wade put together, in my opinion, one of his greatest playoff performances of his career, as Miami, who was down by 9 with 6 minutes left in regulation, had D Wade put them on his back, and it led to a 7-point victory in overtime. The series went back to Toronto for Game 5, where DeRozan and Lowry had huge performances and lifted the Raptors over the Heat. In Game 6, an elimination game, Dragic and Wade had huge performances to force a Game 7. By then, everyone, like me, wanted to see the Heat win Game 7 because we all wanted to see Wade versus James in the playoffs for the first time ever. But in Game 7, the Raptors exploded. The Heat, who had injuries to Hassan Whiteside and Amari Stoudemire, were forced to use a small ball lineup and got blown out to end their season and eliminated any chance of seeing Wade versus LeBron this season. The final scenario is in 2018. Now this requires a flashback. Now as we all know, after the Heat lost to the Raptors in 2016, that summer, Wade left to go sign with the Bulls. He spent one season there before he agreed to a buyout with the team, where he then signed with the Cavs to reunite with LeBron James. The Cavs struggled in the first half of the season even when they had plenty of talent on the team. And at the trade deadline, the Cavs traded half of their team where they sent Dwayne Wade back to Miami. The Heat, who had a young core of Justice Winslow, Josh Richardson, and Bam Adebayo, were in place for a playoff position. And Wade was the perfect veteran to lead them to the playoffs. Once the regular season started to come to a close, the final week of the season in the East, every team was in the playoffs. It was all about the playoff seeding. The Heat were already settled into the 6th seed, and the Cavs were fighting for the 3rd seed, which if they got it, it would set up a first-round matchup between LeBron and Dwayne Wade, which would be a fun matchup to watch because of their previous matchup a few weeks prior, which showed that D Wade and the young Heat could challenge the defending Eastern Conference champions. But the loss to the Philadelphia 76ers in the 3rd to last game of the regular season pushed the Sixers up to the 3rd seed and the Cavs down to the 4th seed, which caused a first-round matchup between the 76ers and the Heat. And if the Cavs beat the 76ers, they would have gotten 3rd place over them, which would have caused a first-round matchup between the Cavs and the Heat. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. The Heat would lose to the Sixers in 5 games. The Cavs, on the other hand, would beat the Pacers in 7 games. LeBron would single-handedly destroy the Raptors in 4 games. And LeBron, along with the help of Kevin Love, would carry the Cavs to the finals, beating the Celtics in 7 games, but would get swept in the finals by the Warriors. In the offseason, LeBron left to go to the Lakers, and Dwayne Wade spent one last season with the Heat, and the two never got to face off in the playoffs. So this is a playoff matchup that would have been a classic, but we never got to see. LeBron and Wade were one of the greatest duos of all time, and even had great duels against each other. But what would have been a great playoff matchup is only something we can think about now. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, like it. If you like content like this, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.